Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're customizing the Overflod Entity XXR in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now I was actually pretty sure that I had one of these cars before. I looked for it because I may or may not be working on a certain video that involves the Entity. So anyway, I bought a new one and we're going to customize it today. So armor all the way up, of course. The brakes also all the way up. For the bumpers, we do have front and rear options here. Now this is interesting. You can actually move this whole front splitter off of the car, which is pretty interesting. And then you can add it back with the canards as well. Or you can go for the highlight splitter and canards, which is even like bigger than the regular splitter. So we're gonna go nuts with this car. We're gonna try to make it as extreme as possible, I think. So we'll go for the highlight rear diffuser as well. For the engine, we're gonna go all the way up. Lord knows this car needs that for reasons I will get into later. We do have quite a few options here. The titanium exhaust is definitely speaking to me, so we'll go for that one. Now for the hood, we have primary hood fins, secondary hood fins, or carbon. I really like the carbon accent on there. That looks great, so we're going to go for that. For the lights, we are going to go xenon. Of course, we're going to leave the neon kit on the bottom of the car off of it. Plate, we're going to go yellow on black, of course. For the respray, this is where things are going to get interesting, because I've seen some really interesting colors on the Entity XXR before. They all look really, really good. Even bleached brown that I just went over a second ago actually caught my eye. This car is very versatile. I feel like you can almost paint this thing any color and it will look like great. So we got a lot of colors to choose from. Obviously we got every color in GTA, so that's quite a few. I'm not really sure what I want to go for with this thing. Obviously, I mean, a color like race yellow, dew yellow, they look fantastic on this thing, so that is always an option. We got the oranges that look good. We've even got salmon pink that actually looks really, really good. My friend Aaron has his car in salmon pink, I believe it is, and it looks fantastic, so that's always an option. Then we have some pretty neutral colors like the silvers here, and these all look really good as well. I really like shadow silver, actually. That is one that I'm actually very seriously considering. Man, I literally don't know what to pick. I'm actually thinking we're gonna go for shadow silver. It's like kind of a low-key color, but I feel like it really works well. And for the secondary color, we could go for like a black or something, or we could just match it up with the shadow silver, which I think that's what we're gonna do, just because it's kind of hard to color match and pick something that really, you know, looks good. So we'll just go for shadow silver. We will go for the Torino red interior though, because I feel like that looks really good. So let's do that. We can remove the wing entirely from this vehicle, which does actually increase the traction. We also have the low-level spoiler, the carbon wing, GT wing of course, and the tuner wing. I really like the stock spoiler. Unfortunately, that's not going to give us any traction bonus, so we're pretty much going to have to pick something else. The low-level spoiler works pretty well. The GT wing is also nice. I think we're going to go for the GT wing. It's got a lot of carbon on it, which looks good, and it's pretty wide, so should be okay. We are also, I don't know if we're going to put competition suspension on this thing. It looks good lowered, but I don't know if I'd like it that lowered. Actually I kind of do, so we'll go for that. Transmission all the way up, of course, the turbo as well. Now for the wheels. Now this thing has so much carbon on it that I feel like if we go for the Cheetah Carbon R, it's like a logical choice, right? Just to match up with the rest of the carbon, or the Solars maybe. I actually think that the Solars like low-key work better with this car, so we're actually going to go for those. And for the color of these, we could do something interesting to kind of highlight the car. We could go for maybe a frost white on these. We could go for a red. I think that I might just go for black though. I know that's kind of boring, but fits with the rest of the theme of the car. Bulletproof tires, we will of course add those, and then finally limo tint all the way around as well. This thing's pretty good. I wish that I had more customization options, but it's got enough, I guess. So you know, that's good. Now we're gonna do a full review, and of course we have to start that off by doing a sound test. So here's a sound test, boys. This car actually sounds pretty damn good, I gotta say. There are cars that sound a little bit better, but it's definitely not bad. Now the XXR, as I briefly touched on earlier, this car is not that quick, and that is because of a little thing called engine resistance, which was added with the cars in the after hours update, which unfortunately includes this car within that. Now, I've briefly touched on this before in other videos with other cars that have engine resistance. Basically, it makes the car sound like it's accelerating really hard, but it actually nerfs the acceleration that the car should be doing. So it sounds like it's going crazy, but it's actually really not going that crazy. The car is still going pretty slow, which is really unfortunate. I hate that this car has that because I absolutely love the XXR, but it's just not that great just because of this reason. I mean, the car potentially could be one of the fastest supercars in the entire game, even to this day, even years after the After Hours DLC came out. Of course, that's all if it did not have engine resistance, which is, again, just such a shame. Unfortunately, engine resistance is the thing that we just have to deal with. The acceleration is still decent, actually. It's not as bad as you might expect. However, it's really not that good either. I mean, this car might be faster than some of the older supercars in the game, but it would not surprise me if the Zentorno was literally faster when it comes to acceleration over the Entity XXR, which is pretty sad considering Zentorno's been out for a long time now. Now, beyond the acceleration being like kind of trash, this car is actually a pretty good handling vehicle. It's actually one of the better rear-wheel drive handling vehicles in the game, I honestly think. This car does have a maxed out traction bar, which actually, I mean, completely means nothing, but it is maxed out stock. So if you go ahead and add a spoiler like I've done, this car is pretty much glued to the road. Now, it's nowhere near as good as an open wheel car in GTA, but it has really good downforce. It's got really good traction. Now, another place that the Entity XXR kind of suffers, and a lot of it is due to the engine resistance, is the top speed of this car is pretty weak. It's only about 123 miles per hour that it tops out at, and that's with the engine fully upgraded and everything like that. And actually achieving 123 miles an hour, you're gonna have to have a pretty damn long straightaway, unfortunately. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good about this car. I mean, the traction's good, the handling is pretty decent, but other than that, the acceleration and the top speed are pretty weak. So it's really unfortunate, but I honestly don't think that I can really recommend that anybody picks up the Entity XXR unless you have an absolute ton of money, or you're not interested in racing and you just want a cool car for free mode. Then that's really what this car is good for. But if you want to race, the Entity XXR is not a car for you. You will not win any supercar races with this vehicle. Anyway guys, that is pretty much it for the Entity XXR. Let me know what you guys thought of my customization, although there weren't many options to choose from, but let me know nonetheless in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, if not, dislike of course. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.